Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with a OMI VeVe update video as well as other things. Everyone, before we get started, say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. Commenting, liking, and subscribing is a free way to help support the channel. Non-free ways are Patreon, smashing that super thanks button down below. And this video was inspired by Wes. Wes in the, where is he? The VeVe fam had gone over and asked, Randy, what's your OMI price prediction in 2035? And I feel like we should get through 2025 first before we talk about 2035, but it's a fun little speculation on the future. And why I like that is because 4 years ago, when we were at all-time highs at like 1 cent, 1.2, 1.3 cents, whatever it was, yeah, we had Batman, we had DC, we had the Asian version of Powerpuff Girls. We had Powerpuff Girls, but I think it was only licensed in China. That's why people only in China could get it. And now, obviously, because of Dynamite Comics, we have Powerpuff Girls. We have all these things. We have Marvel. We have Disney, United States Postal Service. All of these brands. One of the most recent ones we got last year was Figpin. Shout out to them. And when you take a look at the amount of brands that we have right now, it's great compared to what we had 4 years ago. And VeVeVerse was announced. Now we have the Metaverse narrative, and all this stuff will hit again and again and again every cycle. What does the greater market look like in 2035? And Bitcoin's probably millions of dollars. I mean, you have right now the entire crypto market's worth about 3 trillion. And it's like, well, okay, enough beating around the bush. What's your price prediction? We could probably be hundreds of billions of dollars worth of market cap by that point. But Chavez, you're not. OMI is not even worth $100 million market cap. You think it could be worth hundreds of billions? Yes. I think it could potentially one day maybe be a $1 trillion company, VeVe, but let's focus on the token right now because that's what was asked. Obviously, none of this is financial advice. This is kind of a fun thought experiment. When the crypto market is worth 3 trillion now, and yeah, I think OMI can be worth billions, if not tens of billions, by the end of this bull market, depending on where we go here. 3 to 5 cents would be about $10 billion market cap, and that's kind of my base case. The reason I say tens of billions because I think 10, 15, 20 cents is not outside the realm of possibility. Obviously, this bull market, $1 is way out there. I do not think OMI should be anywhere near $300 billion market cap. Even half that at 50 cents, 150, but probably not going to happen. Could it surprise us and be 35 cents? Maybe if a bunch of stuff happens, if we get Pokemon, all these narrative hits, and yeah, magic can happen, and you could be like 25, 30 cents, give or take. But how do you go from there to being worth hundreds of billions and trillions? Well, again, the market cap of crypto is not going to stay the same from now to 10 years from now. The crypto market will likely be worth $100 trillion or over $100 trillion. And in there, obviously, cream is going to rise to the top. I think that, and it's like, well, they're NFTs. This is like a last cycle thing, like I get you might have like the NFTs incorporated with AI and that could help. And you have the Metaverse, which again is also last cycle, but obviously within the Metaverse, you could have games. So maybe something like that happens. Listen, markets are generally never wrong. In the 90s, when you had this .com bubble, the market wasn't wrong when it said like the internet is going to be the single greatest thing that's ever happened like to humanity outside of like penicillin and baked bread. And they go in and they say, well, actually, yeah, it was because all of the companies that they put into, they died. Well, not exactly. What happened was that, yes, the market got a little overzealous. They got very overzealous with giving companies money that should not have been given money. And these companies were worth hundreds of millions or billions of dollars with absolutely no revenue. So the market was wrong in the fact that they gave certain companies money that didn't deserve it, but they were not wrong in the fact that the internet was going to take over the world, which it did. And in that same breath where you have the Amazons, the Googles, etc., that that it had these insane grasps on the market, and now they're $1 trillion companies. I think that blockchain is much the same way, and that 4 years ago, I remember I was there. I was there, Gandalf. I was there 3,000 years ago. Am I Aslan from Narnia? Because do not cite the deep magic to me, wench. I was there when it was written. I was there at NFT NYC. Me and my friends getting offered thousands of dollars to promote these NFT projects that had no utility. Like, the owners weren't doxxed. It was ridiculous. And what wound up happening was that what we thought came to pass, and all of the companies that had really no IP, there were these pixelated versions of ducks and apes and any type of animal, what have you. There was no revenue there. There was no company there. Even companies that had licensed IP, like Recur, that had Hey Arnold, that had Hello Kitty, that had Star Trek. They shared some of the IP that VeVe had, and then they also had other IP that like nobody else had. And what happened? They were given tens of millions of dollars. I think the last amount of money that they raised, like 50 something million dollars at a $350 million valuation, and they had like no revenue. And like, I could tell, because obviously in the 90s I was a kid, but I could tell, like, as an adult, like, okay, this, especially someone that's been completely engrossed in finance for the better part of a decade now, is like, hey, this is completely overvalued. A lot of stuff is overblown, and you could tell which companies were going to fly and which companies were not. Been correct about all of that so far. And VeVe is still here. They have their Metaverse out, or at least it'll be out in the next couple of days. It's been in beta testing for like 18 months. You'll likely see a couple of these people building games inside of there. Outside of VeVe, like, VeVe has their own stuff they're working on, and then people will have their games that are also going to be built inside of this engine. And you're going to have two types of attack vectors. You're going to have VeVe attacking with the games or whatever that they're building, with the IP branded worlds, any type of interoperability with any other metaverse. We're hoping for a bunch. And then you have other games that other people can make. And some AAA games are awesome. They're great. They make a lot of money. But so did Among Us. Among Us was a little app on your phone in the pandemic that had like 30 million users, and it made hundreds of millions of dollars because of these little toilet paper hats that you could buy for $1. These microtransactions of these, this isn't a crab, but these little crabs that follow you around for a couple of dollars. And VeVeVerse can do the exact same thing, especially when they can do that for the OMI burn. VeVe right now doesn't have any of their own IP, but they could make that. They was like, oh, it's a VeVe crab. This is a VeVe duck. This is a VeVe squirrel sitting on top of a VeVe rock. Like there's an unlimited amount of things that you could put in there and sell for OMI and have that OMI be burned. Also, obviously, there should be things that they should have in sale for fiat, and this way they can go and make that and build the VeVeVerse and have it bigger. They should 100% do that as well. But this is why I think that Raoul Pal said the other day, he's buying a bunch of NFTs. Like, NFT, it's still art. And art changes and art evolves. But at the end of the day, it's still something that makes you feel something. It's something that makes you think and love and be emotional when you look at it. And VeVe has some of the world's greatest artists on it. They have some of the greatest one-of-ones, the artist proofs from these incredible, like, what are, in the Eddie Guerrero story, Cheating Death and Stealing Life, he takes us to El Paso, he takes us to Guadalajara, he takes us to all these different places where he had grown up and he had lived. And he said, this is where the Aztecs were. And the Aztecs used to have these crazy murals on the walls, and now we have this graffiti, and this is the modern day Aztec art. In that same breath, you have people that go on and say, like, hey, Marvel and DC, these are our modern day Greek gods. And some of the artists that tell these most incredible stories that the world has ever seen. I know now kids study, like, they study Shakespeare and Macbeth, and they study Proust, and that's all well and good. But there are some of these comic books out there that should be studied by kids, whether it's Jonathan Hickman is like a god at that. New Avengers, Young Avengers, there's Civil War, there's Secret Wars, there's so many of these things that are incredible. And we have a bunch of that artwork as one-of-ones on VeVe. And all of these things, I think, again, by 2035, where Wes had asked that question, I believe that OMI can be several dollars worth. Again, this is 10 years away. $2 is at that time. If we have no burns as a $600 billion market cap, I realize that's crazy. I think we're going to have a lot of burns in the next 10 years. There could be land sales that could still be happening now that a lot of this is back on the table. We have David Sachs, as cryptos are, putting in a bunch of these new regulations, or taking away a bunch of these regulations and putting actual regulatory clarity in there so people know what to do and what not to do definitively. Anyway, this is just a fun thought experiment. And while I'm on the comic thing, I have finished, I'm still editing the first book of daCat. The comic book will be on VeVe later this year. I will go, it's got Crappy Bird on there, contract address down below for Crappy Bird. It's got Chaos on the chains over there, a character from there. A contract address for the daCat crypto down below as well. And we had just started, you could see in my YouTube videos, made a whole new playlist called daCat Chibi. Obviously, the daCat comic is going to be pretty adult, not too adult because it's on VeVe, so it can't be crazy. But there are definitely some themes and some stuff and images that really aren't, kids probably shouldn't have. So to help build brand awareness, we're doing the daCat Chibi. It will be more geared for kids, but everyone could watch it. Some of it will be pretty cool. So definitely take a look at that as well. And there's going to be other mediums that I haven't announced yet, but they are in the works. So everyone, please comment, like, and subscribe. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. I love you guys. Goodbye.